Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a little bit of a break from the toys and the hot rod, and we're just going to do some basic service work on the wife's Camry again. I am in the middle of an oil change right now. As soon as I get this wrapped up, we're going to do a transmission service on the car. For those that haven't watched any videos on this car before, I've already done an oil change video and a couple other basic services. This is a 2021 Camry XSE 2.5 inline 4, and we're a little bit early. I believe the trans service is supposed to be done about 60,000 miles. She's right about 53,000 miles on it now. Going to go ahead and do it a little bit early. Usually I'm a little late on my services, but this one I'm going to try and jump all over and do a little video about today. Just got a fresh shipment of AMSOIL products. If you guys watch the channel, you know that's what I love to use. I've got a couple different oil changes I'm going to use here. Things to do, different projects. You guys know I've always got stuff waiting and ready. But we got the AMSOIL synthetic ATF fluid that we're going to be using in the car. Not going to get into a debate. You guys know, use whatever fluid you want to use. The important part is to make sure whatever you're going to use meets the Toyota WS specification. The WS fluid, that's what you want to use for these transmissions. We're going to use roughly 3.5 quarts. I've got 4 here. Sometimes I get in a hurry, I kick these things over in the garage floor and do all sorts of other stupid stuff. So we should have plenty of fluid here. That should be a little bit of excess. Obviously, as we go through the process, we're going to drain off a little bit. I'm going to do the best I can to do a video, and I'm going to show you guys the least expensive way I've come up with to properly do the service on the transmission. There's a couple really good videos out there already on YouTube, and there's a couple of videos where people are really cutting corners. And I don't want to get into a debate with you guys about why you should or shouldn't do it a certain way. ATF fluid expands and contracts. The trans service is a temperature sensitive service. It's supposed to be done a certain way. I'm all about DIY service. Usually I take better care of my vehicles than anyone else is going to. I put my heart and care into them. I'm not in a big hurry like a shop is going to be. I'm not going to cut corners. The point of DIY is to save yourself money and try to do the best possible service. If you're going to cut corners, you're really not doing anything productive for yourself. So anyway, without getting into the debate, like I said, we'll just go through the process. I may miss something. You guys are usually quick to point it out when I do. Sorry if it happens. Simple as mentioning that I didn't replace a crush washer on a drain pan gasket or something like that. Just be aware of those things. If you're doing DIY service, those are things you need to do. Whether you see me do them in the video or not, use the video as a tool. Watch the other videos, use them as a tool, come up with your own method, and best of luck in your service. So let me get this oil change finished up and let's get started. Alright guys, in the essence of time, I'm not going to show every detail of this first part. If you were blessed to have a lift, great. I am not, unfortunately. So before you crawl into a vehicle, always keep safety in mind, guys. Use your jack stands, whatever method you're using. First thing I'm going to do is get under here. I'm going to pull this entire pan loose. Like I said, I'm going to skip this part. It's pretty self-explanatory. You've got a series of these plastic push pins and whatnot under here. So I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the way real quick, and then we will proceed with this portion of the video. Alright guys, changed my mind. I will show you this real quick in case you've never done it before. So back here in the back, you've literally got this series of these plastic push pins holding this up. Up front here, you've got two 10mm bolts, and they left you a nice little access hole for one. Pull that out of there. Ones up here were buried, so I actually took a little hole saw and just made another little access hole. I don't know why they wouldn't do that for you, but anyway, once you get that out, you can safely pull that completely out of the way. And now we can get to our drain plug right up here underneath the trans. Important to note, guys, it doesn't matter whether it's transmission, differential, whatever you're servicing. Important to note, before you touch that drain point, we're going to go up here, and you always want to break the fill point loose first in case there's ever an issue. Who knows who worked on the car before that? You never want to drain the fluid out and not be able to get it back in first. So obviously we have pulled off already the left front tire to get it out of the way. Now we're going to remove this access panel right here. You've got two 10mm right up top here. Quickly pull those out of the way. And then we've got one more of those plastic little push pins here that goes into the plastic inner fender lining. Pop that out of there. Then we pull this little plastic panel out of the way. So I'm going to get the camera up underneath it here. Now you have access. Get the light. right up under here. You have a 24 millimeter. This is your fill point. Right there. I'm just gonna reach up here. I got 24 millimeter, 1/2 inch drive, and it will fit perfectly right in here. And now we can break this loose. Once we've broken that loose, I'm just going to go ahead at this point. We're going to pull all the way out, and there should be a crush washer on this as well. And it looks like at this point the crush washer is sticking to the trans. Oh, no, I lied. We do have a crush washer right here. Alright, now that we've got the fill plug safely removed out of the way and crawl back under the car, you're going to need a 10 millimeter hex for the drain plug here. I'm going to break that loose. You get a little bit of fluid here. And once we get that out of the way, you're going to use a 6 millimeter hex, and you're going to pull that oil fill level tube, and it should be super loose. It's only supposed to be hand tight in there. I'm only using the socket, just ratchet, just so I got something to grab onto, since I got slick fingers now. Once we unthread that and pull it out of the way, we will let the fluid drain. Alright, we've let this drain for a little bit. We are down to just a slow drip, so now we are going to take the plastic tube and we're going to just reinsert this hand tight. You don't need to put a tool on it or get extreme. You do not want to break anything like that. Just thread it up in there till it stops. And then we're going to go ahead and take the 10 millimeter and we're going to reinstall the plug. And we're just going to snug this up at this point because it is going to come back out. So there's no need to torque this back down at this moment. So now that the drain plug is secure, we're going to hop back up here to the fill plug. And I'm not going to do anything special here, guys. We're going to want to overfill it a little bit at this point, and I am using nothing other than a very cheap generic hand pump. Just threaded on to my jug here, and I'm going to pump about 3.5 quarts into this thing. Like I said, we want to overfill it a little bit. We're going to get it up to temp, and then we're going to drain off the excess. So if anything, you want to overfill it a little bit. You don't want to underfill this. So like I said, I'm just going to stick this up in here. Right up into the port there. And we're just going to start pumping away. Once we got 3.5 in there or so, we'll get that fill plug torqued back down. The best part is if you have a little helper, you can make them do all the work for you. Keep pumping. And with all 3.5 quarts pumped back in there, I'm gonna get my fat hand up in here and I'm gonna wrestle this fill plug back in. And we're going to get it torqued into place. So you're going to need a torque wrench for this part, obviously. Get up in it, and we're going to torque this down to 29 foot-pounds. Just like so. The fill port secured. Torque back down. We're going to get our little plastic panel go back into place here. Once that's plates in, now we can get our tire back in place. Alright guys, so this is the point where people tend to skip this stuff because they think you need high-tech, expensive equipment to do it. You'll see a lot of the people in some of these videos doing the drain and fill and measure method. And that might work in a situation like mine. I'm the original owner of this car. This has never been done before. The problem with doing that method is it's technically not the correct way to do it. and you're assuming that it was serviced properly beforehand. And that, as these cars age and as these get serviced by various people, may or may not be accurate. So here is the absolute cheapest, most accurate way I've come up with to be able to get a proper reading on the transmission temp. We're going to get this thing up to operating temperature. We're going to cycle it through all the gears, and we want to get the trans temp up between 95 and 113 degrees Fahrenheit. So what we've done is I've got one of these generic OBD2 Wi-Fi dongles. There's nothing special about this brand. These things are all generic China stuff. I keep one in the glove box of all of my vehicles. I would put a link to this one, but I don't even know if it still exists anymore. They're all over Amazon, eBay, roughly in the $30 range. You can read your trouble codes with these things and do all sorts of stuff. And it will just plug right in, obviously, to your OBD2 port. Lots of you guys may have used these, may have already have one. If not, like I said, they are not expensive to get. And all you have to do at that point, now I've already got this established on my phone, but I will show you guys on a tablet. Hopefully it will record a little bit bigger. There's all sorts of free apps. The one I'm using is this car scanner, ELM OBD2. I'll go ahead and install it. I'll walk you guys through the process, because you got to select your ECU and just your vehicle year and all that kind of basic information before you get started. Crawl right up under the dash here, and we're going to get the dongle plugged in. You'll see the little lights light up there. And we need to power up the vehicle. And whether it's your phone, your tablet, whatever you're using, you need to go into your Wi-Fi settings. And you're going to need to select that Wi-Fi dongle. See it right here, OBD2 scanner. Get that selected. Okay, then we're going to want to go back into the app and connect to the vehicle. It's going to ask for permissions. Allow it. Alright guys, I apologize. I forgot to plug in my tablet. Battery died on me. I was hoping I would have enough to get through this part, and I did not. So I switched over to my phone. As you can see, same thing on the phone as the tablet. Went through. We've got the connection. Now we can go through. You can read trouble codes with this. All sorts of different information on here. Read live data. All sorts of information. What we're going to go through is we're going to get in here and we are going to find the transmission temp. So we're going to go into all sensors and we scroll on down to transmission fluid. Hopefully you guys can see on the tiny little phone, ATF pan temperature, we've got 81.5 degrees and climbing. So like I said, we're going to keep watching this. I'm going to keep cycling through the gears, back and forth from reverse, neutral, drive, etc. We want that fluid to cycle around as it warms up, and we're going to get it between 95 to 113 degrees. At that point, we'll get out, and we're going to pull that drain plug, and we're going to drain off the excess. Now we're up to 86 degrees and climbing. So we're getting close. So there we have it, guys. We're at 95 degrees. So we're going to hop out and drain off the excess here. Like I said, in order to get into that, you want to click on the all sensors. And like I said, this will bring up everything in your vehicle imaginable. You'll scroll down till you find the TCM settings for the automatic transmission fluid. And not coming out too hard, so we're just draining off the excess here. Once this comes down to a dribble, we'll reinstall the plug, and this time we'll torque it down to spec. Once we get it in hand tight, we can torque the drain plug down. You're going to torque this to 15 foot-pounds, which isn't a whole lot, so don't get overly carried away. At that point, we can clean up our mess under here, and I'm going to wrestle the plastic under tray back into place, and we can take it down and out for a test drive. So I did take a little sample while I was under there of some of the old fluid coming out here on a white rag. It is a little bit dingy when you compare the old oil to some fresh oil. It definitely got a little bit of discoloration. I'm glad I did the service. I would highly recommend it. I almost wish I would have done a little bit earlier. From now on, I may not wait another 60,000 miles. I may service this trans fluid a little bit more often, especially after some of the information I've read and seen out there about a trans failure on these cars and how expensive, you know, $8,500 plus. Maybe some of you out there have actually experienced that and can speak to that, but I would certainly like to prevent that in the future. So anyway, when you get this thing onto the ground, like I said, just wanted to show you that real quick, and let's take it for a spin. Been out here driving the vehicle for a little bit. Everything is shifting and driving as it should. I'm glad I did the service. Like I said, I wish I would have done it just a little bit sooner. If this might be a service that you guys are needing to do, looking to do, maybe you're thinking about tackling it yourself to save a few dollars, I certainly wouldn't be afraid to do it. There's, like I said, really inexpensive ways to do it properly and do it on your own and save yourselves a couple dollars and hopefully prolong the life of that transmission as long as possible and save yourself several $1,000s in repair or replacement costs. So anyway, I really hope some of you guys out there found this video useful and helpful. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Don't forget to subscribe. It helps me out and I appreciate each and every one of you. The channel is kind of all over the place. You know, I focus mostly on the hot rods and the exotic car stuff, but I also do these videos. Hopefully they're helpful, like I said, anytime some sort of maintenance comes up on the wife's Camry here. So anyway, thanks again, you guys, and we'll see you on the next video.